Howdy, my name is Astrama, and welcome to the Cosmic Chaos. You may have noticed that I kind of fell off the face of the earth for a bit. Whoops. In my defense, life got in the way, so that was fun. But now that I'm back, I should be starting to get into the swing of things again. And what better way to start off than just a casual video? This is once again unscripted. I know I promised in my last video that had commentary that I would script these things. Yeah, so much for keeping up my end of the bargain. So you may have noticed that I've gotten into the refined sketch in this video. I forgot to record the beginning of the sketch. Whoops. So anyways, I'm currently drawing illustration for an anti-Terra design I made. So basically, like, if Terra was in the realm of darkness instead of Aqua, but no big deal. You may have noticed that I used a 3D model to help with figuring out the hand poses for the shadow tendril things. For some reason, I thought it would be cool that anti-Terra would have this shadow cape, similar to Lingering Will, but like he can control it to make him even more of a threat. So I thought that would be a fun addition to the lore of this weird design. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, like I said, this is just gonna be a chill video. I'll commentate on the background footage. And honestly, I had a lot of fun making this piece. There was another piece of Terra I did before this one, and honestly, I miss drawing fan art. Like, it's fun. Oh, and here we have the part where I struggled the most. I was struggling with the facial expressions. So I asked my Discord friends, like, what expressions would they see with the kind of pose I gave anti-Terra. One suggested I do a cold look, like, not necessarily feral, but not necessarily, like, he's just done. I struggled with that. The next person suggested a cackling expression, and y'all, I love drawing unhinged expressions. Like, it's just so fun in my style. So, like, something about the unhinged face, man. Another friend suggested I do a sort of kind yet condescending look. And then I tried to mess around with expressions after one friend suggested a smug snarl. Yeah, it's safe to say I really struggled with this one, but ultimately I did end up going with the kind yet condescending look. Almost as if it were to say, yeah, no, I'm not gonna be a gentle himbo anymore. You're screwed. Normally I'm decent at facial expressions. I decided to start with making the background first because that will influence the lighting of this piece. I pulled up a reference of the Realm of Darkness, and at first I made it a little too vibrant, but I do lower the saturation later on. I really like working on backgrounds, surprisingly, despite not being good at them, and you'll see that I used a textured brush to blend in any background elements. I don't know why I do this. Like, maybe it's because I want the characters to have like a smoothness to it to make them stand out. I honestly don't know, but whatever works, I guess. Yeah, you can see that I desaturated the sky a bit, added some stars just for the heck of it. I know the Realm of Darkness doesn't have stars, or at least the beach part of it does. Doesn't. I know in the Castle of Dreams section in Fragmentary Passage there are stars. But anyways, if you're wondering what brush I used for the stars in the sky as well as the texture in the sand, I used this crystal dust brush that I found in a set from Clip Studio Paint Assets. If I can find it, I will definitely link it below. And now we're moving on to the ocean. I struggle with water because of how reflective it is and how much there is. It's so overwhelming, or at least I find it overwhelming. So I opted to do something simple for this one. Like, I know water doesn't have a texture, like a rough texture like I used in the Sky and Sand, but I wanted to keep it all cohesive and whatnot. I also used a Gaussian blur on the horizon line to give the illusion of perspective. And here we see I'm adding highlights, desaturating, and adding some seafoam. I figured that would be nice to add. Like, I didn't add any shading to the seafoam or anything. Like, I tried doing a transparent effect, hated it, so I opted with... Actually, wait, I did do a bit of shading. Oh, Gaussian blur. I mean, for not being good at drawing ocean scenes, this is acceptable. For the rocks behind the piece, actually, nope. Add the sunlight first, but that gets covered up, so in hindsight, I should not have added that. I used a texture pen to create the rocks, and then did the usual texture. See, with the texture brush, or blending brush I use, it's definitely more suitable for rocks and maybe some gene texture, but I just use it for background elements for whatever reason, so, wait, I already mentioned that. I really need to script these videos. So, as we're wrapping up the rocks, add that Gaussian blur. Gaussian? I don't know. I don't know why, but I decided to outline the sketch and then add a base color before moving on to the line art. The symmetry tool is a freaking lifesaver, man. Like, here's a tip for anyone who has any digital art media like Clipsio Paint. Don't be afraid to play around with the tools. You can see here I'm using the shade assist for a bit before I decided, you know what, I'm just going to focus on the line art first, and I'll figure out shading from there. Line art I find to be pretty relaxing. It's sketching that's the most tedious. Then again, I do fill in areas where it's darkest, so maybe that's why. But also I don't want to kill my wrist. So we're just gonna blitz on through the line art real quick. And yeah. Oh yeah, you may have noticed that the times as well as battery percentages changes from clip to clip. Next time I will crop that out before I edit this in iMovie. But I took a lot of frequent breaks. This would have been much better as a time lapse in Clipsio Paint, but oh well. Shit happens. But yeah, the pen I use is just the G pen on the 10 brush size. I don't know why. I like having some thick lines, but I stick primarily to thin lines. It's just how I roll, I guess. Okay, why did I record myself looking through all the files? Alright, and now we get to my absolute favorite part, coloring. I don't know why for my illustrations I will always add the skin as the base, but for my comics I do it one section at a time without adding a skin base to it. I feel like they would benefit from that, but because I also line the background with the characters in one layer, I think that would have not been pleasant to do. Plus, there's more diverse characters with different skin tones, so again, that probably wouldn't have worked. No, well, it is what it is. And here we go. I think I got the rough wash brush from a realistic brush or paintbrush set on Clipsio Paint. Again, if I can find that, I will link it below. Now rendering I find to be tedious yet relaxing. It's kind of like with colored pencils. Oh, and here I go with the shade assist again. I decided to just go, screw it, I'm gonna do how I normally shade, and then I'll add like an overlay layer or something. Which, hindsight, probably not a smart move. But at the same time, I think had I just like slapped on colors like from the inside to the outside to where the light source actually hits, I think I would have not had as much fun as I did. Either way, once y'all see the end result, I hope you guys will like it. I definitely had fun with this piece. It was inspired by my sped up version of a Billie Eilish song called Bellyache. I don't know why. I like that song. I played that song on loop. Like it just scratches the brain. Like scratches an itch in the brain. Then again, neurodivergent as hell. But anywho. Initially I wanted to do something with the eyes when I was shading the skin, but opted not to because it looked very weird. So later on, like when I added the general shadow, like once all the layers are merged, I took the airbrush and put the focus on his eyes and just deleted part of it. I used a soft airbrush to do this, or to do that, but you'll see that later on. For the skin, I used kind of a muted yet warm pink and purple, and for his shirt, I opted to use blues, which I think really benefited this in terms of contrast. Sometimes I'll add more multiply layers, sometimes I'll add less. Depends on the piece and like how complicated the liner is. Here the liner isn't super complicated, so I'm okay with being a little more messy with how I blend things. But yeah, like if you notice the textures, like the contrast between the textures of the background and how I normally like render characters, it's night and day, and I think it really makes the character pop. Alright, I will be silent for a little bit and let y'all enjoy some of the rendering. So I'll talk again here in a bit. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm sorry if you can hear my fan. It is hot as hell in summer. I mean, that's to be expected in Texas. Alright, shutting up for a little bit. Alright, is the little bit over yet? Alright. So for, as y'all noticed, I decided to color the line art for the eyes. I thought that would bring a little more attention to them, as I want that to be the main focus. Like, granted, the eyes are such a small detail in a full body, well, actually I wouldn't classify this as full body, it's not showing his feet. 3/4 body? I don't know. But anyways, the eyes are such a small detail in a piece like this where you can see most of the character's body and the background and all of that. Which, in hindsight, I think a portrait would have been more beneficial for that, if I want the eyes to be the focus. But I think with how I executed this piece, I think it's definitely worth it being a small detail. And like with having the eyes be so vibrant compared to like the darker tones throughout the character, I think that benefits like where I want the attention to be drawn. Anywho, we're moving on to the hair. Already added the first layers of multiply layers. I decided that there wasn't enough depth, so what I would do is select different areas of the hair, airbrush using a darker color, and that would help. Oh, and here's the sparkles in the gloss highlights, and I added a bit of that glow from the eyes to make it a little more realistic. And for the rock gauntlets, I actually decided to use Lingering Will's pauldrons, or I guess rather Terra's armor. Oh, they're both the same thing. I use that texture brush again because while it's a rock, and rocks have texture. But yeah, if you're wondering why I didn't just like tather up Terra's clothes and just call it good, I actually got that criticism from a friend of mine when I brought this idea to him. And he was actually skeptical. Like, he knew I could pull it off, but he just didn't see how it could work, because when Aqua was in the realm of darkness, it made sense for her clothes to be tattered and have that darkness corruption effect on her. And so it would have been hard to replicate that because she had more flowy elements compared to Terra's more conservative design. Like, like, he has the baggy pants, sure, but most of his stuff is skin tight and he doesn't have as many flowing elements. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to incorporate some of Lingering Well's design elements and add that to him, while also incorporating the design conventions established with Anti-Aqua. Which, can I just say, I wish she was around much longer, but you know what? It is what it is, considering the story for Kingdom Hearts 3. But, yeah. I imagine, like with Terra, if he were in the realm of darkness for the equivalent of 10 to 11 years, I'd imagine he would still lose a little bit of hope and go through what Aqua went through in Fragmentary Passage. But I feel like because he has such a strong will, he would have an easier time, or somewhat easier time, managing to go through all of what Aqua went through. That's just my theory, though. If I want to make something more with this design, like story-wise, I might make a video on that. But yeah, we are getting to the end of this little process. I had so much fun with this piece. And surprisingly, my wrist did not hurt as much, but then again, I was improving my mental health. So, mental health does surprisingly affect, like, how much pain you'd be in for chronic stuff, like tendonitis or other stuff like that. Oh yeah, and for this I decided to do something a little bit fun by not adding a multiply layer to the blues. In retrospect, I think that would have benefited as like an overlay layer, but overall, I'm not too upset by it. You will see that it looks more light than shadow. I'm just bouncing around a lot. I really do need to make a script. But I do add some texture to really emphasize the darkness of it. And yeah. I know this video is very rambly. But you know what? Considering that's my first video back, I'm gonna be a little kinder to myself on this one. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And, I hope to post more soon. I think I'm gonna ease into this and try to post every other week, maybe, depending on how much footage I have, like, backed up, or if I decide to do something spur of the moment. Probably not a good idea. But yeah, here's the final product. I will link my Tumblr and Instagram so that you guys can see the full image. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. That would mean the world to me. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day or evening or whatever time it's in your area. And, well, peace!